We're joined here today with Master Yap Boh Heong. We're here in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and we've just spent the last month really teaching here in Chiang Mai. We had 2 weeks, a very successful 2 weeks here at the Martial Camp with 5 different masters teaching. Master Yap was one of the instructors here at this year's Martial Camp. And then we had a 5-day workshop for Yan Sao Gong as well, which was also a big success.
Yes.
And we had a very interesting gentleman that attended the Martial Camp this year, a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ortwin Lüers. And Master Yap has an interesting story about Dr. Odwin from when you met him, I believe, last year in Europe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Would you mind talking about your first encounter with Odwin and what's transpired since then?
Okay, I think I've spoken before about the origins of Yan Shao Gong, that is actually made of the 2 internal Nei Gong arts of Shaolin. One was called Lohan Rui, and the other one was called Wuji, right? The art of emptiness. And in my short talk then, I had the misimpression that the art of Wuji is already lost because there were no living, masters or teachers who could really teach the art, you see. And that was in my limited knowledge. And then, lo and behold, I met this gentleman, Dr. Ortwin Lüers, who approached me when I was conducting a seminar in Berlin. And he was a master. He is a master of Wuji, you see. So let me go a bit into the background story, then that will fill that up. Now, I knew from what my father told me that in the late 80s to 90s, Grandmaster Chi, our Grandmaster of course, Lohan Rui, Wuji, 5 ancestors, and Wu Mei, were making trips to Switzerland to teach a group there. And he taught them Wuji, from what I understand, and also 5 ancestors, you see. And my dad was also there with Grandmaster Chi on 1 or 2 occasions. This I heard from my dad orally, and I didn't think any more of it because we did not have any contact with that group, with the group there in Switzerland. Although I had close contact with another group of Grandmaster Chi's disciples and students, Grandmaster Han, unfortunately who has passed away recently, who was based in UK. So I was familiar with the group that was based in UK, which also had centers around the rest of Europe, but I was never, familiar, or I didn't know of anyone with that group in Switzerland. So that was shoved into the back corner of my mind, you see. And lo and behold, in Berlin on the October 22, right?
October 22, yes.
Yeah, October 22, that's right. I gave a seminar in Berlin, and of course there was the usual Facebook, marketing and posters that went out. And Dr. Ortwin Lüers contacted me, and he said, "Hey, I'm so-and-so." He introduced myself. I was one of Grandmaster's students, and I actually met your father. Can we meet up? And I was pleasantly surprised. So we met up in a coffee shop, in a cafe in Berlin in one of the evenings. And he was so kind as to hand me a thumb drive with an old video clip. It was in black and white of my dad back in the late 80s or early 90s. And then we started talking, and sharing experiences. After the short, the casual talk was over, I very cheekily asked him, say, "Okay, you do Wuji, right? Can I sort of feel your chi?" So I presented my palm, and he put his palm on top, and he projected his chi, and I could feel his energy very clearly. There was no hesitation and no doubts about it. Then I also said, "Okay, now you feel mine," and I projected my chi, and he felt it, and he put a smile on his face. And that's how we established an understanding. After that, we became friends, you see. And he started teaching us Wuji. He was very keen to share his knowledge. So for me, that was a very pleasant surprise because I thought the art of Wuji has been lost, you see. But here we have a gentleman who was not only deeply skilled in the art of Wuji, he has deep knowledge of it, he is skilled in it, and he was also very skilled in the art of, in the Buddhism and the philosophy of Buddhism as a practitioner, as a practicing Buddhist, you see. So this combination of skills to me was very rare. And for me, I was very joyful with it. Very overjoyed, you can say, with this, because it's like finding a long lost cousin. This was a different branch of our lineage, which I did not have any contact with, and here we are re-establishing that contact. And since then, we have been doing some joint workshops with Dr. Odwin, starting with Wuji, and learning more deeply about Wuji. I have a very brief training, you can say, in Wuji. I only knew one form, but there was this other pool of knowledge, the 12 steps medical Qigong of Wuji, which Grandmaster Qi never taught outside of Switzerland, you see. So for us who come from Malaysia and KL, we did not even know of the existence of this 12-step medical Qigong. And I thought that was a wonderful thing. It's like unearthing some lost treasure, So since then, we've been working with Dr. Odwin, and he came to martial camp, and I tried to arrange an interview for the martial man with Dr. Odwin, and it was successful, and we had a very good interview. And now I think Wuji is being announced to the world, and we will be doing a lot more with Wuji, So I think that was a wonderful story, to be able to meet up with Dr. Odwin and for him to share his knowledge and teach us the intricacies of Wuji, which of course we can relate back to the Yan Xiao Kung.
Yes, that's right. And as Master Yap mentioned, we actually managed to film a comprehensive interview on Wuji with Dr. Odwin, and we were excited to announce that we also filmed 2 online courses with Odwin as well. So those courses will be released in the future. With the plan to share this art with the world. We did previously think that this art had been lost, but as it turns out, as we know now, that Wuji is still alive and kicking.
Yeah.
And Dr. Odwin does have the knowledge and the skills that he can pass on to other people. So the plan now is to share this art with the world.
To share this, to make this more open to the world, Yeah, I think that was a great opportunity. Yeah, and it would be a waste for such knowledge to be, hidden in that sense.
Yeah, so it's very exciting times actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, And all of us, from my students, myself, who've touched Dr. Odwin's hands, can certainly testify, right? Including Kiran.
Yeah, I mean,
his skills, his internal
I've touched
skills.
his hands. He's definitely got the skills. He's got the knowledge, and he's able to transmit the art as well, which is, you have all 3 combinations, which is perfect.
And Dr. Odwin himself is trained as a medical doctor and then practices as a psychiatrist. So he has the deep medical knowledge as well. And this combination of knowledge from modern science and ancient wisdom, I think, is a wonderful combination. And he's able to express it and teach it in a very methodical way. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yes, so I thought filming this interview would be a great idea to get Master Yap's perspective and share his story, how he met Odwin. Many of you are familiar with Master Yap already from my previous videos, so it's nice to hear Master Yap introducing another teacher.
And it's certainly my privilege, honor to introduce someone like Dr. Odwin. I really think he's an excellent Wuji practitioner, very skillful, and he's such a nice and kind person, and someone who's very willing to share. Yeah.